I am down at the sugar shanty right now, which is where I pretty much always am. But we had a huge mistake that we made the other night, and I really wanted to video it, but it was like a huge mistake, and my dad was not happy about it. So if I pulled out a camera, he probably would have killed me. So I know better than that. I know better than to try to film when things are just complete chaos and going wrong. So I don't have footage of it, but I'm gonna tell you what happened. And I will show you the end result of what took place. If you are a sugar maker, you have probably had this happen to you at some point. Probably not at the scale that we just had it happen to us. So last night, we started making maple syrup, and we didn't even get a drum completed before our entire evaporator started on fire. So we burned our pans. They are completely shot. Thank goodness we had a backup. So what happened is we typically have alarms set, a flow meter on for sap so we know when we run out of sap, and then we also have an alarm on our pan so that way when it starts getting low, we know. Well, long story short, our alarms weren't working, and our gauge that shows how much sap is in the pans was really, somehow it got clouded over. We clean those out every single night, but somehow in the beginning phase of boiling, it kind of clouded up. It's towards the end of the season, so the sap's not as clean coming in. So it looked like there was sap in the back pans when we checked it, but alas, there was no sap in the back pans. So how it happened is I was running the evaporator, and I kind of smelled a little bit of a burning smell. So I said something to my brother. So he came and looked at it, but he didn't see anything wrong with it because typically throughout this entire season, there was like a little bit of a burnt smell in the one area of the evaporator, and that's where it was coming from. So he was like, yeah, it's fine, it's nothing. It looked like when he looked at the gauge that there was sap in the evaporator, which I thought the same thing. I thought there was sap as well, but turns out there was not. So kept boiling. Syrup was coming off of the finishing pans just fine, and then all of a sudden I turn and I look, and part of our stainless steel pans started indenting, and so I said something, and then when you opened the top covers, so I'm going to show you, we had a backup pan, so we put it on this evaporator, but when you looked inside the top covers here, the entire thing was on fire. I'm not even kidding, like full flames, on fire. So, needless to say, we stopped that night, had to take down the entire arch, remove it from the building, and we replaced the whole back pans. Luckily, we did have a backup pan for this evaporator, so we were able to put it all together the next day and continue boiling. But if we didn't have that backup, we pretty much, for lack of a better term, would have been screwed for this season. But luckily we had a backup pan. However, on the downside is we don't have a backup pan anymore. But we had the steam evaporator, which we were planning on putting in this season, but we were missing parts. They came in late. So technically, not only do we have a backup pan, but we have an entire backup evaporator, which will be hooked up. And actually by the time you see this video, probably we'll be making some syrup off of it, which will be really fun. But I'm going to show you the end result and what the pans actually ended up looking like. Again, this is the biggest mistake we have ever made. And a lot of sugar makers, this happens to, burning the pans. However, probably just not on the scale that it happened to us. So we're gonna walk outside and I'm gonna show you what these look like. Right here, this is the side of the pan that I noticed first because it started to indent. And that's what gave it away for me. So I'm gonna show you what the pan looks like now that it's outside. And yeah, I guess that's all. let this be a lesson to you. Make sure that you guys are always checking and that you have your alarms set up, because our alarms were set up, and throughout the season in our new building they were working on and off, so they weren't, you know, consistently working, which we should have changed that right away, but we didn't. And then this happened, so now we learned our lesson. A very, very expensive lesson, but we learned it, and I can tell you for a fact that it will never happen again. So my dad, we all can joke about it now because it's kind of funny, but that night it was not funny, and needless to say, I'm pretty much working for free, probably the rest of my life, to pay this off. I'm just kidding, but it was a very expensive mistake, so this year I'm pretty much working for free. Oh man. Life. This is what happens all the time. You have a plan, nothing goes to plan, especially in farming. Farming, something always goes wrong. It never fails. Something goes wrong. But the good thing is that growing up on a farm, a lot of mistakes happen, and I mean, it's not a good thing because a lot of the mistakes that happen are very expensive mistakes, but at least no one died, right? So my dad, my family, they always keep that into perspective that, you know, bad things happen. Yeah, they might be upset about it in the moment, but at the end of the day, everything's okay. Everyone is all right. We still have our family. Everyone is still together. So, you know, although it's a loss, you can always make more money, but you can't always get people back. So, everyone is good. We are up and running again. And I just wanted to share that with you because I know a lot of times I share working and a lot of people think it's all fun, which it is. I really like what I do. I really like my job. I absolutely love working with my family. Even on the bad days, I wouldn't trade it for the world because my family means everything to me. But I wanted to show you that things aren't always perfect and everyone makes mistakes. Here's my big mistake, my big screw up of 2022. And my biggest screw up on the maple farm so far, so I guess it's not too bad. Could be worse, but could be better. Now that I told you guys the story about what happened the other night, it is time to start boiling again tonight. So I'm gonna head in. If you guys have some fun stories for me, well, you know, stories that you can look back at now and laugh about, please share them to make me feel a little bit better, because it happens to all of us, and hey, guess I'm just sharing my screw-ups with you guys. So I hope you guys enjoy the ride. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And if you guys want to help support our family business and help pay for my mistakes, you can go shop at boxlermaple.com. Get yourself some delicious and nutritious maple syrup. And again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys like this video, please like, subscribe, comment below, and I'll see you next time.